As a smaller YouTube content creator, YouTube is dying. And if we don't change some things, we're in for some trouble. What is good, my pack rats? Pac-Man Case here. Guys, today's video is about YouTube dying. And this is not clickbait. I legitimately think YouTube is on a downturn and we have a huge problem. So this video is to go over 5 reasons why I think YouTube is dying, especially as a smaller content creator, and what we might be able to do to fix it. Guys, first up, we have a problem with age. And what I mean is the audience of YouTube is not growing in the younger age brackets. So me as a smaller content creator, I have roughly about 5,000 subscribers, and most of those people are 30 to 45 years old of age. And what that means is that that younger audience is not seeing my content, and probably millions of other smaller content creators. So the people that are younger tend to have more time on their hands to devote to watching content, to watching YouTube videos. And when you get to that 30 to 45 range, you're often more established at your job, you've started a family, and you just don't devote as much time to sit down and watch YouTube, whether it's on your TV or your phone. And that younger audience is dissipating. They are flocking to other social media platforms. My content is about retro gaming, which is normally gonna hit the nostalgia of people in that 30 to 45 year range, but it's also considered hip and vintage, so it should hit younger audiences, but it doesn't. It doesn't due to many factors, but a huge one is the fact that young people are literally not on our platform anymore. Unfortunately, they are flocking to other social media platforms, and YouTube is becoming less and less interesting to them. And I think it's a huge deal, not with only content creation, but the way that YouTube shares videos and how they're kind of behind on the trend of the way content creation is being handled now, including what they show to audiences. So the number one thing though, right now, we don't have a younger audience to move forward with those video creations. And eventually, when we all turn 50 or 60, we probably won't even care about watching YouTube very often. So age is a big deal with why YouTube might be dying right now. Let's move to the next. Guys, number 2, which probably should have been number 1, but right now, the elephant in the room is TikTok. In 2022, TikTok is the number 1 social media platform, but what that is doing is eating in to the YouTube content consumption. So with TikTok, they make it very easy to post a video, throw a tagline up, and release it to millions and millions of people. I believe they have over probably 1 billion users at this time. And what this has done is it is taken away from the long form content and moved to short form. TikTok has made it so simple to not only share content, but to create content. Many people are flocking over to the TikTok platform, including friends of mine, content creators that were on YouTube for the longest time, grinded, worked hard, tried to produce content that would be fun for you to view, and you just didn't view it. At the end of the day, you didn't see that content. That person decided to move to a new platform and has seen much success. And so that will cause them not to come back to YouTube. Once they've moved over to TikTok, now we're back in the realm of the Facebook, MySpace days, where it is now becoming outdated to create a YouTube video. So these content creators that have moved over to TikTok and finding success, they're not gonna come back over to YouTube and share wonderful videos and awesome content on the platform that we once loved. They're gonna move over to the short form content, leave the long form behind, and before we know it, YouTube is no longer here. So that's another reason, guys. TikTok is king, and it's time to admit it. And we need to change some things on YouTube if it's gonna survive here. We have another huge problem with YouTube, and that is that not only is the algorithm pushing content to you, but anything that's popular already is going to be at the forefront of YouTube content, leaving a very stale landscape of selections and options for you to view. So let me explain that a little bit better. YouTube's job is to shove things towards you that they think are gonna have the most view time, the most watch time. Audience retention of watching a video is the most important part of that YouTube algorithm. And when something's popular, so people watch the video for a long time, they share that video then gets pushed as the algorithm to more and more people. As a smaller content creator or more niche subject matter, we have a struggle of getting people to engage in that content. And then at that point, YouTube will not share that with other people. So what happens though is we end up being back in high school where the popular kids have all of the opportunities and anyone else is kind of left in the dust. And that creates a very hard culture for new creators to want to build videos for an audience. So right now, YouTube has done a very, very poor job of getting content like myself or thousands of other creators out there, including a lot of my friends, for you to see any of their content. And if you don't see the content in the first place, you're not going to watch it, you won't engage with it, and that channel never gets an opportunity to grow, even though it's amazing. It could be great content, it could be great production quality, but all of these things end up going to only a handful of creators that have gained success, and then there's no change. YouTube has had a huge problem, especially during the pandemic, where they pushed corporate agendas, advertisements, and celebrities over small content creators. And if you guys remember, when YouTube first started, it was about the small content creator. It was YouTube, your television, your ability to create something fun, small, and unique and share it with millions of people. That is not the case anymore. YouTube is essentially just another network television that has chosen its 100 channels that they have, and that's all that ever gets pushed to you. So YouTube is now feeling more stale, right? So if you spend a huge amount of time watching a single creator and binging only their stuff, when the time comes for you to want some new content, for you to want something fresh, it won't be there because the literally millions of other content creators that have grinded and worked so hard to try to produce content, it was never shared. It was never there with the audience in the first place because they were superseded by these 100 popular channels that YouTube only pushes. So before you know it, we're right back into it. You've got, the 10% of channels that end up being successful and a whole load of them that had quality content get completely forgotten about. But that's the problem, is when the day comes and you do care and you want to change a pace, it won't be there. So YouTube will just die because you'll move on to nothing. And that's a big problem. So I would definitely say the push of the larger following creators as well as the corporate and celebrities is a huge problem with YouTube. And the only way to fix it, you have to stop watching their stuff. You literally need to stop watching the popular stuff and move to the smaller channels for them to even have a chance to grow, and for there to be variety and, or if you want to say competition on YouTube, because variety breeds more entertainment. If you have more competition, more people get more creative. But if there's only single channels that run the entire gamut of whether it's a genre or a niche, you as an audience member, after that year or two that you were excited about something, move on and you just stop watching YouTube. And without YouTube, even the big content creators won't have anything to show people because there won't be a platform to share it on. Next. This one, guys, goes back to YouTube having a problem of being behind the curve. Obviously, we talked about TikTok being the king of the hill right now with their short form content. Vertical-based media, which is under 60 seconds, which give you an opportunity to consume more and more content. YouTube, as well as Instagram, have all created things that are similar. Instagram has their Reels, YouTube has created their Shorts, but the problem is they're just trying to mimic rather than be more originative with their content and with their platform's user interface. And what this has done though, is even though Shorts are back to being the same short form competition as TikTok, the algorithm still hasn't changed. So the shorts that you are being provided is often shorts that are already popular in nature. Now, Shorts is doing a better job. They're trying to support the smaller creator by allowing you to catch a short that they've created or a couple small short forms and then take you back to their long form content so you get an opportunity to see that creator's stuff, be able to engage with a new community, a new audience. But they're still not there yet, and they may have missed the boat, because as shorts are created and more get out there and the short form content, you again get flooded with creators, and before you know it, there's not a good divisive way for it to select the people that need to see that content, and you will then be back to your 100 popular creators. That stuff gets pushed, and now your long form and your short form videos on YouTube is still the same regurgitated content from the same creators over and over again, to where you get bored, you're over it, you move away from the platform, and YouTube has nobody else to show that content to. So yeah, YouTube tried with the shorts, and it might be too late. As YouTube continues to go in this downtrend spiral and is dying, everything that they're trying to do is really just gonna push more and more people away. And it's super depressing to think about there not being a YouTube one day. So I don't know how that part gets fixed, but it's something that has to be done, or otherwise YouTube probably has a nail in the coffin. Up next, guys, is the way YouTube rewards its content creators. So there's a couple different ways. Number one is the algorithm. It will view your content, share it with a small percentage of people, and if it deems it more retention or clickable, then it will share it with more people. The problem with that, though, is the clickability rate. The click-through rate that YouTube gives you is a big problem, because the only way to have a YouTube video clicked on anymore is to have clickbait thumbnails. And what I mean when I say clickbait thumbnails is that your title and your thumbnail has to have something shocking. So there's no longer a reward for being genuine, being real, having a heart-to-heart with your audience. Maybe your thumbnail is literally just your face and the title is "Let's Talk." That is less likely to have views than a title on a thumbnail that says "Alligator bit off guy's arm," and then you click on the video and it's not even that content. But that is what's going to get the click-through rate, is this clickbait title. Every single creator that I know has worked super hard to go towards YouTube's algorithm on the click-through rate and less about the content more and more. They tell you 50% of how your video has success is if you have a popular thumbnail or a successful thumbnail. And sometimes it's frustrating. It's frustrating that you have to create such an engaging thumbnail that has so many things associated with the thumbnail that might not even actually be in your video. Is very ungenuine and frustrating that that's the only way that things get pushed. Now, how does that relate to YouTube dying? Well, it relates to content creator burnout. So you do everything you can to create a successful thumbnail. You do everything you can to showcase the item that you may have purchased. In our field, right, retro video games, we're trying to showcase the game, but then they tell you if there's not a face in the thumbnail, there's no relation there, and that people are more likely to click on it when there's some expression on the thumbnail. But then that ends up dying because the algorithm changes. You know, maybe it recognizes, oh, there's faces on the thumbnail, let's not push that anymore. It's been too, it's been too played out. Then they move to thumbnails where things are just text or just letters, and then that goes away. And so before you know it, as a content creator, you're like, I don't know what the F to create to get people just to be able to watch the content. So me, as a 5,000 sub count creator, right? That is no small potatoes. It takes a long time to get to that point. But it has not been exactly organic for my channel. I have not been able to grow organically due to YouTube holding you down and gatekeeping. So the way my channel has grown and people have been able to see my content is by having other creators that somehow blasted through the gate share your content. And that's the biggest problem with YouTube, is that if I, as a content creator, the only way to have people engage and share and watch my stuff is to have some popular YouTuber or bigger YouTuber have you in their video, share your content out, that's just wrong. It's super cool of those creators. Those are some of my awesome friends that are giant creators in our niche of retro gaming. But the only way for my channel to grow is for them to share that content, then at that point, it's not even YouTube gatekeeping you, it's whether the person that is popular decides they like your stuff. So then at that point, somebody else is controlling who gets to watch your videos. And it's just a crazy world on YouTube. That algorithm does not prove to support the smaller channel creators, which at the end of the day will be the foundation that lifts up these other larger creators. So that part's really tough. It's wonderful for someone who's large to reach down to the little guy and help them up and help everybody succeed. But YouTube, that's wrong. That shouldn't be the only way that people are able to grow and be successful at a channel. That algorithm has to change to share smaller content creators' channels or allow a separate menu option to go through the sub 1,000 views or sub 10,000 views of videos and then get access to this entire library of stuff you've never been able to see. So that's a huge problem, guys. Clickbait on the thumbnails turning into not being able to watch content, to YouTube gatekeeping. Before you know it, you're burnt out as a creator, you don't want to create content anymore, and YouTube is literally a wasteland of corporate videos, celebrity videos, popular videos, and now it's not YouTube anymore, it's their tube. And we don't want to watch their tube, right? So getting the community back together is a huge issue with YouTube and something they have to fix. And if they don't, guys, say goodbye to YouTube. It won't be here anymore. So guys, this was 5 reasons why I believe YouTube is dying. And I think there's a lot of markers right now and a lot of writing on the wall that tells us that we're going that direction. I mentioned this before, YouTube is following trend of the MySpace and the Facebook. Corporate advertisements everywhere, literally only pushing content of celebrities or people with bigger followings. And before you know it, it's like this schlop of crappy content coming to you or limited content coming to you, and you just get burnt out. You can see it. Facebook is long gone now, and MySpace didn't have a chance once they moved to those models, and YouTube needs to change back to an independently focused network of the millions of people that create videos on here. It's wild. As a honorable mention of an issue that YouTube has, and this goes more to the creator side, for you to be a really good creator, for you to be somebody that wants to produce amazing content, you have to have money and you have to have time. So to create wonderful content, you need to make sure that you are able to film that video, produce that video, edit that video, get your proper thumbnail and your algorithms and your SEO correct before you will even be successful. And with that comes time. And sometimes people don't have that time without money. So an issue with YouTube is that they pay so little on the video once you're monetized, it's not worth it for most creators. So if you're a larger creator, you might end up getting anywhere from, $100 up to $1,000 for your videos. Once you're a smaller creator, you end up getting maybe 20 cents per video that you're working on. And that's only if, 1,000 to a couple thousand people watch it. It's not enough for you to be able to support having an editor, having somebody that supports your social media side, being able to grow your production level, having a second cameraman, having people that help you support and grow the channel. As a smaller content creator, you don't get the support from YouTube that you need, which then turns into that content creator not creating content anymore. And now you're back, like I said, same celebrities, same corporate structure, and same large followers are the only ones that gain success because you have no support from that financially, which then turns into you being able to have support from the production side. So YouTube has to fix the monetization of their channels. They have so much advertising getting thrown at you. The fact that you only make 20 cents a video from something that you have busted your ass to keep YouTube as a successful platform is nuts to me. And that's just, it's wild to think that content creators out there would ever be successful in a formula or algorithm like that. So at the end of the day, it's just not there, and people flock to Patreon and they look for support for other channels and sometimes get ridiculed or mocked for it. But that's the reason why. YouTube does not pay out enough to allow content which is free to the viewer that you find entertaining. That content creator is not supported by YouTube in the slightest to be able to gain that production quality or keep it consistent. So if you guys want to help a small creator, go support a Patreon that they might have. All right, guys, so we went through these 5 plus the honorable mention of things that are making YouTube die. Now, if you guys have other reasons that you think YouTube is dying, let me know in the comments below. But also, if you guys don't think YouTube is dying, if you think that YouTube is gonna have another resurgence, a second wind, or you think that there's other ways for this to grow, let me know in the comments below, because I know other creators would also love to hear people's ideas of where you're at. But how do we as an audience, right? I'm a content creator, but if I flip roles, how do I as an audience member support my creators? Well, number one, if they have a Patreon, go support the Patreon. If it's $3 a month and it helps that channel continue to produce content for you, continue to have consistent content out for you, and a support team of production, you will continue to have access to that content. Now, what's great about YouTube is everything is free and that the content creators make money through advertising. But unfortunately, in the grand scheme of things, it's not enough. If you're a larger creator that ends up with hundreds of thousands of views, you end up having enough out of those small portions that add up. But as a smaller creator where YouTube is not pushing your content, it's not enough there. So another way you can do it is share the content, like the content, and subscribe to the channel. If you're still not going to watch it, at least if you subscribe to it, it gives that content creator more of an opportunity to have their things seen. YouTube also sees that engagement. So on this video right now, most likely 50% of people didn't make it through the entire video. So if you're here right now, that is a huge way to help support a smaller channel like mine by watching the video all the way through. If you don't have time to do that, finishing a video. There's a lot of times that people will start a video, end it, move on. Maybe they needed lunch, maybe somebody asked them a question, but to continue to watch that video is also very supportive of the content creator. And last but not least, and this sucks because I never want to take away from anybody that's been successful and people that have worked on this channel, but you guys have to stop watching only the popular channels. You have to stop giving your watch time and your content to only the larger YouTubers, and that's on any niche, any platform, whether it be fishing, retro games, whether it be lawn mowing. You have to stop watching only the popular channels. You have to literally get the deep cuts in there. You have to search that algorithm, type in retro gamers, under 1,000 subs, something like that. There's been many channels that have shouted people out, that have created people in the community that have worked really hard, and sometimes from that subscriber count, including myself, 5,000 subscribers, sometimes a video will only get 400 views. Now, that's great. If somebody only has 60 subscribers, 400 views is fantastic for them. But 5,000 subscribers and 400 views, that means YouTube did not push that out to all of my subscribers. So that happens from a content creator standpoint all the time. I have friends right now where they work super hard on a video, their subscriber base is fantastic, and before they know it, they get no watches on their videos, and that's because YouTube has chosen not to share it anymore. So you as a subscriber and someone that consumes that free content, the way you can help them is make sure that you have the notifications on, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and that you are actively trying to watch that content from that subscriber, or otherwise the day will come, you will go to YouTube and you will be like, I wonder what they're up to, and their channel's gone because they never had the engagement or the support they needed to continue the channel in the first place. And guys, this happens with thousands, if not millions of creators on YouTube, and that's why you only see that high base, because there was never a support structure in the first place for little guys. So that is my take on YouTube, why it's dying, and how we can help YouTube to continue to grow and be successful out there. So if you guys like my content, legitimately, I appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you guys know when I produce a new video to help support the channel, and we will catch you guys on the next video. Help YouTube stay alive, guys. Be well. Bye.